So hey!
Hey! Welcome back.
Welcome back. I think it's been way too long.
A few months.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We've been doing amazing things, just so you guys know. It's not like we've been slacking. We've just been up to a lot.
Yeah, we have. So we're so happy to be back here at Inspiration Education.
So in this episode, yes, we've been up to a lot, but in this episode, we want to do something very simple. We're all about student-centered learning, and one of the ways that we love to do student-centered learning, and one of the ways we like to do students...
Hey, it's Friday afternoon, and we haven't recorded in months, so we're just like, what is this again? Anyways, student-centered learning.
Student-centered learning is, we like to dabble in project-based or problem-based learning. And so we want to give you a little taste of that today.
Teach your kids to love to learn, and they will learn to love to live in a world where there's so much to learn through inspiration education.
Okay, so the way that, one of the ways in which I try to do student-centered learning in my class is I started a new problem-based learning way of structuring my government class.
What are the critical elements of what would you say are the critical elements of problem-based learning or project-based learning?
Oh gosh, great question. Critical elements would be that there is like an essential question or an essential problem that needs to be solved that's in order to get that active engagement that's relevant in their lives, whether it's a student or us or whatever it is.
And it's process oriented, and you keep evaluating the process and revising, and it's like a lot of R&D, if you will, but it's all kind of what the students are doing to make that happen. Peer self-evaluation, peer evaluation, formative feedback. So like a cycle almost, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So in my government class, I think all of you senior teachers out there, you totally understand that there's such a thing as senioritis. And the kids are just like checked out and ready to go, especially by second semester is when it really starts to kick in. And I thought, how am I going to be able to keep the engagement up and going? And so I developed a mock election for my government class. So what they do is they're learning about government, but they're learning it under this model of, hey, how can I, under our micro community here at Desert Christian Schools, how can I make a positive impact or a lasting impact or legacy on my campus now that I've spent 4 years here and I really have an understanding of what our campus does well and what we lack and what we can improve on.
So again, another component, authenticity, right?
Yeah.
It's contextual and relevance. Kids want to know why what they're learning has relevance somewhere, has meaning somewhere, and they get buy into that. We've learned in instructional design theory that relevance and satisfaction is a big one. So if they get a chance to feel that success, then you're attacking the motivation piece, which is
intrinsic
senioritis. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so they have to, the quick brief way that we do it is they nominate a president for each team. We'll have 2 teams. So it isn't like Republican versus Democrats. It's about their policy papers and what it is that they want to change. And they're running on a platform just like our presidents would, but the platform is based on 3 things that they'd like to improve in the school under the category. One thing would be under health, the other would be under academics, and the other is under community. So what 3 things can you change on our campus? One for each of those different sections. And in their teams, they then come up with what that is, and then next week they're going to be meeting with their admin staff. One of the admin staff, or admin, one of them being right here as the director of education, and then our principal will be in on, and our assistant principal, and they have to run those policies by them, and whatever team wins at the end of the semester, those policies will then be enacted in the future at our school. Enacted either in the short term or the long term, depending on how big it is, the change that they're wanting to make at the school.
Super exciting. Super exciting. You were even telling me yesterday that there's maybe some upcoming proposals about course offerings, which is my domain.
Yes.
And we're also going into
and curriculum development. They're thinking about that too.
Correct. So we're going into a strategic planning phase right now for about the next 2 to 4 years. And I said, all right, if you can convince me well enough that your proposal has merit, I'm going to find out if I can let them sit on our strategic planning meeting with a whole group of adults.
And you want to talk about making them feel like their efforts are worth something. It's not just for, writing it in a journal and then nobody else sees it but the teacher.
Yeah.
This is big. This has a lasting impact, and they have
empowerment, right, and
Yeah.
ownership, and their voice has a presence at the table, which is what we talk about in a learning community, that all the voices matter. Well, let's raise even the stakes on that, and they have a voice at the table in the adult community, if you will. I don't know. I think it's great. It's a great 21st century skills piece as well, which is, again, another important component of project-based or problem-based learning.
Well, and that's what I told them too, is that of course you're going to be learning about government in this class, but really maybe even more so what you're learning are those 21st century skills. I mean, like, literally, how do I get along with another human being who may disagree with me?
Exactly. Discourse, all those good
discourse.
things.
How do you lead well? How do you follow well? How do you flip-flop those roles when the time comes? So it's really, really cool. So the footage that we're going to show you is actually from 2 years ago, pre-COVID, when I was able to finish the curriculum from start to finish. So I've got a couple of different classes woven in, where you can see them in their groups, like really coming up, like even with fun things like the logo for their team name, right? So instead of like Republicans and Democrats, and you've got elephants, and you've got all the, it's about like their own logo, and then I have some footage in there for the final debate that they give at the end of the semester. It's just like a presidential debate where the two presidents, they debate in front of the entire student body. On their platforms, and then directly following that, we hold a ballot, an election, and they learn about civic virtue and how that plays into the responsibility that we
state standards, right? And again, PBL can be connected to state standards. You do a lot looking at standards related to civic virtue, don't you?
Yeah,
because that's big in our state.
Yeah, well, Arizona State Standard civic virtue is C1-1. I mean, it's like right off the bat, what is civic virtue, and how do we apply that? But
do you have anything from this year, the kiddos from this year that are currently, you're just launching this now in this year?
Yeah, so I will include in here, I have some, my students are so funny and they're goofy, but I did get a little clip of like, hey, how do you think government class is going so far? And I include that in there, and that's all I've got for them for so far. Okay. So you've got about 3 years worth of footage all combined into one that we're going to show you, so I hope you enjoy this.
One of them pads.
You guys making a survey?
Yeah.
Oh, cell phone, cool. Making the logo?
I found that.
On what is it?
I don't we.
Look at it.
I'm a struggler. I'm on the struggle bus.
What if we say we just spend more and then make it yes, no? So we have 3 policies that we want to work on. As Mrs. Thomas said, we have academic policy, community policy, and health policy.
I'm not sure you listed all administration's needs or staff needs. That's
Right,
what I would say. You listed 3 that are very good.
Right,
but not
but
everything.
part of our research and finding a new schedule will be getting surveys from all those people.
So our first policy is our academic policy pertaining to the past, which is also addressing block schedule. We would like to introduce a form of block schedule because in the past it has worked very well for Desert in a preparation for college. Having longer class periods has not only helped students sustain a longer attention span, but also has helped with more fluid learning for both teachers and students.
I just want to clarify. So your academic policy is to have students attend board meetings?
Not exactly.
By creating this simulation, not only have we learned the workings of our school and learned the functions of the United States government and how our government plays into our everyday lives, but we've also been able to work alongside each other.
At this time, we would like to thank the students, faculty, staff, and board members for joining us in our micro-community government simulation.
We would also like to thank Mrs. Thomas for graciously giving us this opportunity, and Mrs. Yanis for acting as our debate moderator. Would you please give her a hand of applause?
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the format, the rules, and how this is going to flow this morning. First of all, each of the teams is going to get up their 5 campaign questions, which I will introduce, and with their topic, and then Annalise and Winnie are going to be representing their different parties this morning. and giving their response for each question, okay? They have about 2 to 2.5 minutes to give their response, during which time, as an audience, I expect you to be incredibly respectful, which means no applause, no comments. There was random selection about who will go first, so that's already been decided. As I mentioned, it's a 2.5 minute time limit. If there is extra time, then I might ask additional questions before moving on. And at the very end, after I have randomly picked the question, which they do not know which question I have picked, they are going to also randomly ask a question to each other. This is an amazing opportunity for you guys as underclassmen to witness what you will be participating in, and also to hear what they have to say about your school and policies within your school, okay? All right.
All right, so we are going to start with the opening statement from the megaphones, and Caitlin Didiger will be giving the opening statement for her party.
Good morning. My name is Caitlin Didiger, and I am the campaign manager for Team Megaphones.
Okay, so the first question will be from the philosophy of campaign. So I will be giving them a random question, which they do not know what the question is, and they will essentially be responding about their campaign and what the philosophy is. So for philosophy of question, the megaphones will be going first. The question is, why do you believe your campaign best represents the needs and or desires of the student body?
The Megaphones campaign relies on making the interests of the student body aware and providing possible solutions that benefit our teachers and our students. Our mission statement is amplifying the concerns of the student body in order to create a better future for Desert Christian schools. Every single one of our policies benefits students in some way. The first is cell phone policy.
Okay, at this point, we're going to receive the closing statements from our parties. Megaphones will begin with their closing statement.
Amplifying your voice and proposing policies that both teachers and students benefit from. That is the mission of Megaphones Party, as exemplified through our cell phone policy reform, enforcement policy, mercy passes, and honors credits and components.
Thank you for your time and attention today.
Okay, how about a big round of applause? Okay, so you are going to get to vote on which party's platform you think you most agree with. The voting is going to be held for the students tomorrow at lunch in the hub.
Okay, the question is, how do you like this government class in terms of the problem-based learning and student-led learning? Because this is what I started a couple of years ago, and I'm just curious. They're 2 weeks into the curriculum, and I'm just curious what they think so we can add it into the episode.
That's a big question.
I think that it's very useful because it's helping us to learn how to think for ourselves. Because during our Socratic seminar today, I realized I have thoughts that I didn't even know I had until I was vocalizing them in front of everybody. So it was a lot of fun.
And it causes you to think and solve problems. Like, for instance, we're sitting here coming up with ideas to help the school. That's good. Problem-based learning, what can be fixed and what could be done about it. So that's one reason it's a lot of fun.
And I think it prepares you for college really well, because sitting down last night I got to read the article and I was able to just go through and take notes of what I liked and what I didn't like and different definitions, and I felt very prepared because it's something that I'm doing on my own where I can learn better, and as we go through the class I can learn how to better my notes, and so I can talk more in Socratic seminars and improve my thoughts.
Damien, you gotta say government's the bomb.
Government's the bomb.
Alrighty, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that.
Aren't they funny? They're so cute. Oh my gosh, they're adorable. But yeah, so that's just like a really quick synopsis of what it looks like. Of course, there's so much more behind the scenes that goes on, and it is, I think it might be my favorite class just because I really truly am just facilitating the learning. I'm sort of the content expert. I'm feeding it in, but they are grabbing the learning by the horns, if you will.
Yeah.
And I mean, they just run with it. And I'm talking about not just one class period every now and then. I'm talking about every day. They come into class and like, oh, Mrs. Thomas, like, basically like, hurry up and tell us what you need to do, or you think we need to do, because we have like X through Z that we need to do for the day. I mean, awesome? It's just, they're so charged up. They're so fired up. So
momentum, if it's anything like previous, that momentum self-sustains. It's not like you have to, I don't know, have to like convince them again to own it.
No,
right?
Because they know what their goal is at the end. Mm-hmm. They know where they need to be, and that's high stakes. If you're doing a debate in front of the entire student body, but not just that one final summative, if you will, at the end, you're also we've got publicity managers, for example, and campaign managers, and they have to advertise all semester long. So I mean, there's like high buy-in throughout the whole semester and ways to keep them engaged and enriched in their learning. So if this is something that you're interested in, please reach out to me. I would love to collaborate with you and show you how I do it.
You've never taken a formal class, have you? You've just done your little bits of research or talked to me or whatever. Yeah. I've dabbled in it myself, and then a couple of years ago during, I guess it was after COVID, after quarantine, PBL Works, pblworks.org, they offer all sorts of online workshops. And actually, because of COVID, I got to do the entire 3-day, they do a 3-day in-person one in Napa, but I got to do it online. And by the way, you can do meaningful workshops and learning online when it's done really, really well. And let me tell you, PBL Works, top of the line. I came out 3 days all online, refreshed, believe it or not, from being on Zoom calls all day. They also have like mini courses where you take it over a few weeks. And the great thing is that they give you mentors who do this, and they give you so many tools, but they also give you mentors that will guide you through the process. So it's really well supported, and it is worth every penny that you pay. Obviously the in-person is great, but if you can only do some online options, they have them.
There was a lot of collaboration online. I remember you saying that.
Oh yeah, well, and that, I mean, in order to learn how to do it, they taught it through a problem-based paradigm. It was great.
Duh. Okay, well, that's it for this episode. We try to make it as short and sweet as possible, and we will really try to get back on here and get this.
We're going to get back into a rhythm. We're going to do it.
All right.
Because we love about you guys. We care about your lifelong learning, and we've missed being able to do this and to give back on our own learning. So we promise we'll see you more.
All right. See you next time. Bye.